I actually think I got this down where I know the name of the show. Ask a Traffic Cop. And today we've got our friend Scott Marshall, and it's not a Friday. And we've got Brandon on the other side, and we're weighting it down. The two of us with no hair, and the one it is actually a balanced photo. So we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff because that's what we do here, and it's all traffic related. And we're going to start with Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Brandon, where are we, or where are they?
Well, today the officers are going to be in 11 division as well as, am I right? Yeah, 11 and 55. So we've got our map. So folks who are familiar with the show know you can go to torontopolice.on.ca/divisions/map. And you'll have this map of the city, and it's going to show you where each of the divisions are. You can, from there, click into each subsequent division, and you can get the information about exactly where the divisional boundaries are, people you can contact within the division. If you have a complaint, we know people are complaining a lot about noise on the streets. This is the first stop. You want to talk about getting some enforcement in your division, contact your community relations officer of that division and get the ball rolling, or reach out to 311. Same thing with 55 division. You've got your divisional boundaries. Again, important people you can reach out to, and of course, an interactive map that'll show you exactly where you are in that division, the little streets and side corners, and maybe you'll see a VZ officer there today, and hopefully it's not for a speeding ticket.
No kidding. Well, here's a couple of things about VZ, and you brought up something else. So first of all, Vision Zero Enforcement Team is a dedicated group of officers. They're focused on the big four. That's speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. And the goal of this team is to reduce serious injury and death on our roadways. And we're seeing lots of people getting hurt. So we want to stop that. How do we stop it? Well, we educate through enforcement, and that is a ticket to remind you what you shouldn't have been doing, and hopefully we'll never do again. If you don't want to meet one, don't do anything wrong, and you won't, because they're only focused on the people who are driving behavior draws their attention to them. Now, you mentioned something really cool, and you talked about noise complaints, and that is a hot topic right now because there's a lot of folks who are unhappy with unnecessary noise. That's the loud exhaust pipes, the motorcycles ripping up the highway, and they call us to talk about noise. Well, noise is a factor that we get through modification of vehicles. But it's actually funny. It's driving behavior too, because I can tell you that a stock car can sound pretty loud when someone's redlining or driving well above the speed limit. So, our enforcement teams are out there looking at the driver behavior as well as simple modifications that make them unnecessarily loud. But as you said, 311. Calling in driving complaints can be issued or reported on our core system. If this is something happening in your neighborhood, go to www.torontopolice.com/core, CORE, and you can go file an online complaint for either a specific vehicle or a neighborhood issue that you're seeing. And that allows us to create an actual report that is assigned to an officer in a division that can then respond to the issue. If we don't know about it, we can't react to it. And I appreciate that we get emails saying, hey, it's loud on the 401 of the DVP or in my neighborhood, but that's not specific enough. And giving us this information really helps us build a file so we can go out and do something about it. And we do want to do something about it. So
we've actually already got 18 people in the room watching. And before we get into Scott's thoughts, I want to make sure that those people know that you can use the chat feature and send in questions, because these guys over here, they have a lot of information. I have a lot of hair, but they can answer all your questions.
You know what? That's a good balance. If I get a lot of hair, I probably won't be able to answer a lot of questions. Is that what you're saying? And if that's the case, then we're going from lots of knowledge to more knowledge to the guy with all the answers. Okay. All right. So you still digesting. So how's it going?
Well, Brandon's got the side shaved a lot. We just have to kind of get the top done.
I'm working on it.
There is no question that he will one day meet up. Actually, there is a question. We don't know what he's capable of in terms of his genetics seem to be strong there.
Well, yeah, it all goes downhill after that.
Ouch.
Things to look forward to, Brandon. So, on the topic of noise, that's not really something that you probably see a lot with your students, or do you? Do you find that people come in to get, well, they're in instructor cars when they come through a driving school, but do you talk to people about pipes? Does it come up in conversation with students or in the course of your travels?
Yeah, actually, it does come across off and on. And the fact is, if your muffler has a hole in it, your tailpipe, it's called a muffler because it's supposed to muffle the sound, hence the name. So I do let them know that they do need to get that fixed, like ASAP. We used to have a salesperson who would come in the parking lot with a loud vehicle, and I kind of went up to in his department. I said, you're going to need to get that fixed because one day you're going to get pulled over. He said, I did already.
Oh,
And yeah.
wait.
So it's one thing to it's tough sometimes for budget. You have to fix it and things like that, and it's there are discount muffler places out there. It's not always going to cost you an arm and a leg, and finally, it might even be less than you think. Just go get it checked.
Now, if you do show up for a test and you go to get your G2, your G, and your vehicle has an issue with the muffler, will they let you go and test with it?
They test for signals and horns and brake lights and things like that. But if they feel the vehicle is unsafe, they will abandon the test. So if it's really loud, you start up the vehicle and it sounds like a 1952 barn find, then yeah, they're going to say turn it off. Very good chance.
And with the way things are going right now, you don't want to mess around with your opportunity to be tested because we understand how difficult it is to get a test.
Yeah, with over 400,000 tests that they had to cancel during the COVID lockdown, since the start of it, really. You want to be ready for your test, and you don't want to cancel. You don't want it to be canceled because of the loud pipes that you've got. The only pipes that you should be loud would be your vocal pipes, and that's about it, really.
So singing during your test is totally okay.
Well,
maybe not.
Yeah, I'm never going to give that advice. I can carry a tune in a bag, so yeah.
Something that we came up with, and we haven't, I don't think we've chatted about this before. There have been listings on Facebook and other, for sale pages of people selling their test dates. It seems to be an issue that people are going and blocking dates and then trying to profit from it, which is, in my opinion, wrong. But that goes without saying. I don't know if you've heard about this other than before just now, but
yeah. There are sites that will try to book a road test and they'll do that for you, and they charge a fee. Go to drivetest.ca and put in your driver's license number. You have to put in an email address, and they confirm it. So if I have a road test I want to sell it to somebody, then as soon as mine's canceled, someone else is going to scoop it up. So to pay someone for their road test time, you can't guarantee you're going to get it, and just keep going every day. And there are cancellations. You've mentioned that already before.
Yeah.
There's people that realize that they're not able to go for whatever reason. They're working. They're going to be away or out of the province. They're not ready, and they cancel. And plus, again, as I've been saying for the last little while, they are hiring more examiners to cover the backlog. So
as soon as you have a new person come onto the roster as a tester, suddenly their dance card is empty, and all those dates suddenly have more space, and they'll add more availability. So you jump on, and if you're checking on a regular basis, you may be lucky enough to catch one in your area, or possibly check a neighboring area.
Yeah, you can have they can do about 20 tests a day. So you think about it, that's 100 tests a week by one examiner.
Okay, so I mean, the drive test centers are backed up, the instruction centers are backed up. People are obviously having to go outside of the city. A lot of folks to even get their testing. Is it the same? Like, is it the same heavy load for the instructors? I know you were just talking about it, but like, what's the likelihood? Yeah, is it like still a good likelihood people are able to get instruction at least?
Yeah, there's often depends on where it is. Like, if you have a cottage in northern Ontario, in the North Bay area or whatever, and you want to find a road test there, it's probably a lot easier to find one there as it is to find one in southern Ontario, in the GTA or Golden Horseshoe.
Right, but I remember you mentioning it's important that you try to do your road tests kind of in around the area where you're likely to be driving, and that makes sense to me. And
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah, and there's some instructors over the years from different driving schools that would always take a student on a route that the examiner would use, and I've never in 33 years ever taken a student on a route because it does a false sense of entitlement that they know where the examiner is going, and I did have one of my instructors tell me a response where. Um, they had taken the student on a route and the examiner said, turn right at the next light. And the student said, don't you mean left? And the examiner said, no, right. And that just threw them off. And if you can drive anywhere. You can make a turn, you can make a safe lane change, you can do safe left turns at lights, things like that. So it doesn't really matter where you go because you have a license to drive in Ontario, not just your city.
yeah, that makes sense to me.
But for the people who like, this is now going outside of trying to get a test quickly. But historically, I knew people who would say, "I'm going to go to Peterborough to do my test because the highway is not as crowded." But they're not doing themselves any favor because they're going to come back to drive in Toronto and not necessarily do well because they were tested in an environment that was very calm and easy.
The pro and con with that is that when you are tested, you're nervous, and when you're nervous, you're going to make some unthinking errors and things like that. So if you're more in a relaxed state of mind, you're going to do fine. But what you want it to build is habits. It takes 20 days to make a habit. It takes 42 to break one and learn a new one. So getting a lot of practice time in the heavier traffic where you live is always the best deal, because even if you're nervous, you're going to go back to your habitual techniques. And if you're always speeding and you had to slow down, well, your chances are when you're nervous, you're going to be speeding.
Yeah, and you know what? From a legal standpoint, every municipality seems to have its own sort of rules and regulations and things you can and cannot do and things you have to look out for in certain areas. So again, another reason to try to stay as local as you can if you're going to be getting a test, because you need to be, and not even just for the test, but for instruction as well. Like, you're going to want somebody who's familiar with the area that you're driving in.
That's right. I mean, wherever you are, if you have a 30 or 45-minute radius, that really should be your area that you go to. So even where I live, there's 3 drive test centers within 30 minutes from me, or less. So I could take any one of my students, any one of those 3. But again, I have to know those areas when we do the prep and whatever the case is. And where I teach in car is not where the drive test center is. So we don't go in that area. And plus, there's a lot of municipalities that have bylaws that say no practicing for driving instructors in those areas. We get ticketed by bylaw. So
school parking lots are one of those, right?
Because that's private property, it's not jurisdictional to the drive test center. It's just to clog the test areas. So they just kind of want to remove that out. If school board says don't go in our parking lot, then we don't go in the parking lot. We're nice people.
The nice people. Actually, you know what? I got to say that the driving instructors they're the unsung heroes of traffic safety, because they are the folks who are giving people their best start of being safe drivers. And I don't think there's enough appreciation for that. Honestly, it's the people who don't take instruction are very often doing some pretty wacky stuff on the road. And we skip that by getting proper instruction and training. I mean, motorcycle instruction seems to be an acceptable practice. You understand that this is totally foreign and you want to be safe. But when you get behind a car steering wheel versus a motorcycle handlebar, there isn't the same appreciation for the training. And it should be something that maybe even mandatory. But it's not my call.
Yeah. In Quebec, it's mandatory. If you want to go to a road test, you have to be with an instructor in the province of Quebec. Ontario doesn't. Part of it's the affordability, and you gotta, this could be a really long. This could be a seminar, let alone just a topic. But if you're taking your teen out to learn how to drive, they're worth the extra cost of doing it properly. And I've used the analogy that just because you can brush your teeth and floss doesn't give you the ability to fill a cavity.
You're not a dentist by default?
No, and that's kind of why I'm down in the mouth about it. And the idea that I can make a turn and I have a valid driver's license doesn't really mean I know all the ins and outs about how to teach someone how to drive. And so getting the updated techniques and break down the steps to allow someone to learn how to drive safely, let a professional do it.
And speaking of that, you on your podcast, you recently talked about the concept of having regular retesting. What if it was an annual requalification required to keep your license? What would that look like? And would at that point would someone be compelled to possibly get some refresher training on a regular basis? We do it automatically in the police. First of all, if you have any errors or issues, you may be sent for some advanced training. But if you want to go into an area like motor squad, that's an annual requalification and constant training throughout the year to keep your skills up because they're perishable. We don't have that with drivers, and we see all sorts of things. Like I go to a four-way stop, and it's utter confusion as to whose turn is it? And then everyone looks at each other, and then people start waving. Well, multiple people start waving, and now it's a wave fest, and no one's going anywhere. And then we wonder why there's traffic.
Yeah, when I did Canada's Worst Driver the first year, we had a participant named Faith Ann who was taught by her dad, who she admitted was an absolutely terrible driver, and he was taught by his dad, who was an absolutely terrible driver. So if you know this is the fact, why do you want to learn from someone like that? So it's a mentality thing. Some say it's a cost. Yeah, the cost of driver training. And you get what you pay for. Mm-hmm. You can buy $1,000 vehicle and have a problem with it, or you can buy a $4,000 vehicle and still have a problem with it. So you have to do your due diligence to find out if you are going to learn how to drive. The first thing you shouldn't ask is what's the cost. Find out what's being taught. Find out the qualifications and the history. Go to the Google reviews. Go to the Better Business Bureau, because it's an investment. You're investing in this money to make sure either you or your offspring are trained properly, and don't go for the lowest budget.
If you talk about how much would you pay to be safe, to make sure that you have the better odds of coming home at the end of the day, to keep your car nice and fresh without scratches or dents, if that was a way of even hedging your bets as an insurance policy, most people would look at it. But driver training doesn't sell it that way.
Well, I got a deal for you. I'm going to sell you a new car. Now, the new car, brand spanking new, is a 2022 model. And it's only going to be $8,000. Now, do you want brakes? If you want brakes, it's going to be $3,000 more. Okay. Now, do you want a seatbelt? It's going to be another $2,000. Now, do you want wheels? Right. So you wouldn't even think twice that you want to make sure it's proper brakes. You've got the seatbelts, airbags. You want safety features on your vehicle. You don't think twice about it. But the safety feature that's sitting behind the steering wheel needs to be updated as well.
Yeah.
It's a good analogy. I got to remember that one.
I think you should write it down. But even better, we're going to record it. It's going to be available for playback on YouTube for all eternity. The library.
I'll have to listen because I don't remember what I just said.
What'd you say? Amanda, sorry, first of all, Steph made a comment that I pulled up and then put down, and I got to bring it back. It says, Steph's husband gives her anxiety when when he drives. So that makes me think about the fact that when I was driving with my wife, who was, a new driver, she never drove prior to us getting together. And when she decided she wanted to learn to drive, or that I maybe pressured her to want to learn to drive. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is I took her around and she hated having a traffic cop to teach her to drive. And we did sign up with a company, but with me in the car, she was nervous about being judged, about, who's this guy who talks about traffic safety all day? He's, what's he going to think about me? I'm going to be screwing up. And then the anxiety was there. And that was, so Steph's issue is when she drives with her husband, who is driving. And this was a situation of my wife driving with me in the passenger seat. So yeah, learning to drive from somebody else, regardless of whether they're good or bad, even when they're good. Because I think
so Steph, read a book Pull up something
My
on your
wife is
phone.
voicing this out. My wife is specifically saying it was the worst thing in the world because that's my wife.
Air high five. Yeah. You know what? I get it. So my family as well. No one wants to drive with dad as a passenger because you can't turn off being a driving instructor. It's not a switch, and you do it for so many years. You talk about I talked about habits before. It doesn't matter. I'm in a taxi coming from the airport. How many people in the taxi do check their blind spot? Two, the driver and me. So you can't turn it off, right? So yeah. I have empathy. I feel bad for anybody that has a better half that's involved in road safety to drive them. My son, who is a paramedic, drives an ambulance but doesn't want to be in the car with his dad.
Sure. But regardless, okay, so our loved ones, my girlfriend doesn't like driving with me. I get it. It just seems to be the way it is. However, there is a desire out there for instruction, for training, for education. We
Yep.
have a few comments here. Amanda, bring back courses to the high schools. Seymour, who's a regular, driving needs to be forced. Maybe that's not exactly the way to go, but he's got a point that there does need to be more education out there because people like regular civilians aren't necessarily trained for it. Folks like you, Scott, you're in a position to really lay down appropriate education. And I've got some ideas of where I think they should go. I was wondering what your thoughts on that are.
Well, again, it's the affordability, and someone is very low on the income, and they need a license to get a job, and it's really about the affordability. So I totally agree. I mean, I'm a driving instructor. Having lessons and things like that is key. But when graduate licensing started in the mid '90s, it became a point where I'm just going to ignore that. That's behind me.
We don't hear it. It's all good.
Popular man.
Yeah, I have to get my ducks cleaned. So it really is to a point. It's distracting. I'm distracted driving. Oh, there it goes.
But I just want to acknowledge something. You have a telephone. Like that's a real telephone, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like it has a wire and it goes in the wall.
Yeah. There's no one that really calls it. I like talking to the telemarketers, and I like to find out what they like on their pizzas and things like that. So anyway, they go home. It's not just the same. I got hung up 800 times today. It's like, well, some guy likes to know that I like pineapple. It's an important part of their life. But as far as the mandatory thing, it's a really tough call. It really is. But when graduate licensing started in the mid '90s is where I was going. When they brought in the 2 road tests, it kind of weeded out those who really couldn't drive. They got lucky on the road test. Like the first road test, 15 minutes, no traffic, all green lights, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Your second road test, 30 minutes, expressway, more advanced. You can make more mistakes, but it goes by, like next thing you know, you don't have it. And you've got 5 years to complete or you start again. So it actually improved the road safety in the province of Ontario. Collisions dropped, serious injuries dropped, crashes still came up, but there's other factors why crashes came up, because people are invincible.
Of course.
And vehicles are safer. So they take those chances, which is another topic.
See, there's a lot of people online in the community on TikTok, for instance, who say that this is not fair. Nobody else has graduated licensing. Why do we have graduated licensing? It's not fair.
Every province in Canada has some form of graduated licensing.
Yeah,
they really do. And then there's a lot of U.S. states that have some form of graduate licensing. The downside is there are some states still that have very limited. I don't know what Nebraska has, but there are some states that have like 4 hours and that's it. In Ontario, we have 10 hours of in-car training. So do you really want to be a passenger with someone who's got 4 years experience before they go for the road test? 4 hours experience?
Nebraska, you could drive when you were 14. Started real early there, but you
That's
make a
another
really good
story.
point about the cost. And you know what? Somebody else in the comments, Amanda, our good friend, said that they saved up money until they could attend young drivers for some driver training. And the reason why I wanted to ask you about where people should go and what they can do and sort of barriers to entry is because there are places where you can go for completely free education, free, funny, and interesting education. And one of those places just happens to be TikTok. And guess who's
Yes.
on TikTok now, providing you the details, the down low.
Hey, that's
that is the safe
me.
driver right here. He's getting down and dirty. Look at this. He's actually down on his hands and knees right now to educate you guys.
This is
No, I'm
dedication.
on my belly.
Yeah, even further. Yeah.
Yeah. I commend you, Scott. You've jumped in with both feet or full body in this case, in terms of jumping on the TikTok. And we're excited to see what you do because I've been loving your content and sharing it. Look at that, you're at 146 followers. People like you.
Yeah, that's not bad after I guess 3 days. So teaching classroom and teaching in car for over 30 years, one of the things that gets people's attention is humor. And I mean, you guys know I use humor in what I do, and whether it's a dad joke or not, it's just something that I think catches the attention, and they pause and go, "Wait a minute, I learned something there," and it's good. It keeps the attention. So it's a good line. I posted another one this morning, so you'll have to see that one. And I'm away after this week, so I'm actually going to be away from the interweb.
Ooh.
So yeah, but I filmed a couple this morning after I got up. I might post one on Saturday before I leave, and maybe there's internet if I go into town. So maybe during the week.
Well, you know what? You gotta stockpile some of those great videos, and then you can release them as you go.
Yeah. So anybody, just hopefully I'll get some more followers and get the word out. And it's always been my message, and I think, and I know that Brandon and Sean know this, and a lot of our moderators know this too from spending time with me. Is I started writing in 2005, and my whole idea. But if I can get one person a day to go, I didn't know that, I should change this, then I need to. That's what motivated me to write, and then motivated me to change my podcast, doing local television. When I did Kennesa's Driver, it was all about that, and it's a passion, it's a hobby, and it's really kind of fun to do. So
That's amazing. Actually, you know what? I had a quick question. Sorry, this is just more of a personal interest. When you're driving with people on their first road test or second road test, it's got to be a little bit nerve wracking. Do you have like a brake or something on the other side of the car? Like if you're approaching an intersection, how does that go down?
We have a brake. It's one of the things we have to have, and it's mandated through our insurance coverage. And so I'll use it proactively, not always reactively. Like I'll use my voice more, a little more braking, a little more braking, and if they don't, then I got it covered. So that's fine. I've done training corporately in a vehicle that doesn't have the extra brake, and then Worst Driver, of course, didn't have an extra brake. So you learn to use your voice more so than the brake. But yeah, and we don't yell and scream. Well, we should anyway. Stop! It should never happen.
You've already made a mistake if you've waited that long. You've passed the point of no return.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to take a chance to talk about your social media platforms and where people can find you. Scott Marshall, the Safe Driver, is available on Twitter, and now Safe Driver at Twitter, but on TikTok, you're the Safe Driver, right?
Correct. I tried Safe Driver; it didn't work. So the Safe Driver, and it's also the title of my blog, so it works out quite well. So Twitter is Safe Driver. I get too much. TikTok is the Safe Driver, and come follow, come take a look.
Now we just need you on Instagram as well. We can have you with 25 titles like we have, and stress and of trying to keep them all happy because they all want a piece of you.
Yeah, like you guys are such an influencer. A lot of you, and you know what? It's all good, and I was like I said, it's a passion, and you guys have a passion for it, and I do it when it's not part of my paying job. This is all on my own time, so it's fun.
No, it's awesome. Gotta wait for the echo to stop. It's obvious that it's a passion project for you. Now you are also the pod father of sorts. You are on podcast apps everywhere. You can get Scott's podcast called the Safe. It's Speed Bumps, the Safe Driving Podcast, and you can download that. You can listen to it while you're driving. It's no visuals. It's
Yeah.
not distracting. And I listen to it every week. It comes out on Sundays. They're usually 15 minutes or less. And I encourage you to do that because it's great content. But there's also a blog, and you're very active on Twitter. You even asked about Smurfs today. And have you got it? You asked. I wanted to know
I'm
the
wearing
answer.
blue.
So the question of on Scott's Twitter this morning was if someone were to choke a Smurf, what color would they turn? Because if you don't know, Smurfs are blue. And I did some Googling to find out, but was there a definitive answer that you found that was different than what my answer was?
I always remember Smurfs being blue, and if they're choking, it's a choking hazard. How do you know? I mean, maybe they have a cold and they're coughing. And if you're really choking, you're not even making a sound, right? Because there's no air getting through, and they can't turn blue if they're already blue.
Well, yeah,
They're still blue.
Well, when I searched, I Quorum, or Quora, a website that has all sorts of questions and answers, it actually suggested magenta would be the appropriate color that they would turn in the event that they were choked. And I was shocked to find an answer to that because I was certain that you were the first person to have ever put those words in that order in the world. And before I put the Guinness Book of World Records suggestion in to credit you for that question, I Googled it and was shocked to find out that there was an answer.
And I'll repeat my reply to you. Yeah.
So Amanda says they would turn dead if they were choked.
They would turn dead. What color? No, I don't want to go there. What color is dead? Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was answered by QQ, who says, yeah. Anyway, we're going down, down. We got to keep the memory of blue, fun friends from our cartoon history, safe.
Yeah, and you know what? This is something that for those who are watching, and you guys do a great job with the moderators and yourself, Sean, for the TikTok. And this week, because I've been off this week as well, I've been able to jump in and watch and listen and even participate. And it's been an absolute pleasure. I always feel that, learning it depends on who you're with at the time. And to say that you know everything is naive, because every day you can learn something new just by being with someone new. And you guys have a great team and also helping me with some of the TikTokness going on. And it's great. So, using humor is something I do, and you guys have a lot of information, and you got people to help you with stuff that doesn't. So for those this is my plug for you guys. So if you're new to this platform, give these folks a follow, tune in as often as possible. But don't forget to follow me too.
Well, thanks very much. No, and you are part of the team. You really are part of the team. You were the first person to ever be interviewed or participate in a panel like this. The first one before we were even using live streaming software to do it. And thank you very much. The commitment and the relationship we built, and the fact that you keep coming back no matter how much we keep bothering you, but it's awesome. So thank you very much.
Part of my community service I was charged with, so I have to.
You're being court mandatory appearances on this show. Well, we look forward to many more. And so next week while you're traveling, I assume we won't see you, but
No.
Be safe out there. And we look forward to your return. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your vacation.
Thank you. I'll be fishing.
Fishing. Well, I hope you're catching things, not just, what are you fishing for?
Walleye and bass.
Is it just sport, or do you eat what you catch?
A lot of it's the sport, but was it 2 weeks ago? Or a week and a half ago, I caught a 29-inch walleye that was about 9 pounds. It was beautiful.
Wow. Was it tasty, or is that it was delicious? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, have a fantastic day. Hopefully, the rest of your day will send you into the good vibes for your holiday. And now this is where we get to plug for ourselves. We have. I'm gonna shut down the chat overlay here, and we can pull up all our great stuff. We are on Twitter, and look at that, it's already there. This man, we have the Brandon who does all this magical stuff. The virtual pat on the back. So yeah, we're available on Twitter at Traffic Services. We post things like where the Vision Zero enforcement team will be every day. That goes out at 7:00. You can check out what we put up on a regular basis, because we do post stuff on a regular basis. Things like news info about major collisions and things that when we're looking for help from the community, when we're looking for video to assist our investigators, all sorts of things. Now, we are also on Instagram. You can get us at Traffic Services Toronto. That's where you'll find us there. And we will post our pictures. We've yet to post what we had for lunch, which seems to be very popular on Instagram, just in case you were wondering, Scott. That is a thing. And today I'm looking forward to my lunch. My wife sent me with, anyway. So going on to YouTube. We are on YouTube at Traffic Services Toronto Police. If you Google that or search that on YouTube, you will find us. You can also use YouTube/Traffic Services. Now, we are also on Facebook. You can follow us there. I don't think we have a lower third for that yet, but you can get us on Facebook. We are just as active as anywhere else. But the big to do is that we have just under 137,000 followers on TikTok. We're really excited to be there. And you can, it's 137. Okay, live update. I think we're almost at 138,000. We're 137 and a half. I thought it was higher. No, 137.9. You're not up to date. 137.9 thousand. So we're about to tip into 138. This is like the stock market. We watch it, the ticker go. So we go live Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. There we answer your questions in a Q&A session. Very, very personal. We usually have a moderator. Sometimes it's Q. And we have Brandon, and we answer all sorts of questions about traffic and police things, whatever you ask us. So today they want to know what my favorite ice cream is. Scott, what's your favorite ice cream?
Chocolate mint.
Chocolate mint. Okay. See,
my dad was a milkman when I was a kid.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had ice cream a lot. Cool. Like he literally was a milkman. So your dad was a milkman. Yeah, he was. So
it explains a lot. But no, that's amazing. We had all sorts of questions. So if and one day when you hit 1,000, this is a mission for us to get you to 1,000 followers on TikTok, so you can come into our lives and chat with everybody there, because we can split screen and do cool stuff. So that's a goal. Nice. 1,000 subscribers for you, and you get to come live. Follow us on TikTok. Join the conversation. That we put up videos all day long, every day. And you know what? It's a lot of fun. People ask questions in the comments, and we answer them. There's a Q&A section where we can do a video response to your questions. They message us directly, although there's like a lot of messages waiting because I have. Anyway, yes, we do answer those, and it's a lot of fun. We enjoy it. This has been a tremendous response to the community. So thank you very much for everyone who follows us. And if you don't follow us, you really should. And of course, you should also follow The Safe Driver on TikTok. So with that, we will say goodbye for yet another amazing episode of Ask a Traffic Cop. Thank you, Scott, and have a great vacation. Brandon, I'll see you in like 5 seconds.
Yeah. Take care, guys. Enjoy that vacation.